All right. Happy Friday night, everybody. Hope everybody enjoyed that reality check. Knicks loses one, 119 to 108 against the Milwaukee Bucks. We talk a lot about the Knicks. We will talk a lot about the Knicks tonight. A couple of words on the Bucks first. Very happy that I made them my preseason championship pick, and Giannis Antetokounmpo my preseason MVP pick. Feeling pretty good about both of those. What a wonderful example about an organization that pretty perfectly surrounded its generational star player with the perfect talent and the perfect sorts of players. And I think even missing Chris Middleton, Joe Ingles, I still think they're the best team in basketball right now, based on what we've seen so far this season. I guess you could give me Golden State, but they've lost a couple times. And yeah, I think it's Milwaukee, and I think it's Milwaukee pretty comfortably. You really do have to play. If you're a team like the Knicks, you have to play pretty perfectly to beat this team. And good transition to the team that we are here to talk about, the New York Knickerbockers. They did not play perfectly. I just sent out a tweet a few minutes ago in which I basically boiled this game down to four things, not necessarily in any particular order, but offensive boards. The Bucks killed the Knicks on the offensive glass, which is usually an area of strength for them. I couldn't believe it when I looked and saw that Bobby Portis, once a Knick, always a Knicks, Bobby Portis. I'm happy for Bobby Portis. Had 8 offensive boards. Brook Lopez, I think, had 4 as well. Just really tough with their size. Their size presents a lot of issues. And, you know, they're super athletic, so they can get in on the offensive glass, and it's not going to kill them defensively. Again, they're just a really well-constructed team. But, yeah, the Knicks could not keep them off the glass tonight. Turnovers. Knicks got 2 points on 1 field goal. Knicks got 1 field goal off turnovers tonight. The Bucks had 17. I don't think the Knicks were terribly sloppy with the ball. I think their final turnover numbers were not that much. I want to say they had probably 13 or so turnovers. I'll look it up right now. But again, because the Bucks are so well constructed, if you give up any turnovers, they had 12 turnovers, which is not a bad number for the Knicks. But a team like the Bucks is going to turn those 12 turnovers into points. It's impossible to stop this team when they get out and run. And the Knicks found that out the hard way tonight. Free throws it's like you can't make mistakes against the team. The Knicks missed 10 free throws. Nothing much more to say about that. And then something I'm sure we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about. The Knicks needed some big shooting games from their best players. And obviously the Bucks defense had something to do with the fact, a little bit to do with the fact that some of these guys did not have great shooting nights. But Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle both went 3 for 10 from the field. RJ Barrett ended up 7 for 17. But again, I thought his inability to just hit a shot, because here's the difference. Like Jalen Brunson, you could tell the Bucks were like they were sticking Javon Carter on him, or, you know, even maybe a little Drew Holiday. Like they were making it a point to ensure that Jalen Brunson did not beat them tonight. And that anything Jalen Brunson got, he earned. On top of that, Jalen Brunson didn't have a great game. But you kind of get that. And like the reason why I was like, you know, pump the brakes after 4 games, I want to see what this team does against a real defense, was partially because I knew a really good defense was going to be able to treat Jalen Brunson the way that the Bucks treated him tonight and guard against him the way that they guarded against him tonight. The 4 defenses the Knicks have played before tonight all were in the bottom 13 in the league, including 2 of the bottom 3. So this is a different animal. Bucks are the best defense in basketball. Randle, a little less excusable. He had a couple nice looks, missed them. You know, but again, they're not going to let him get comfortable. Took a couple shots you probably wouldn't like him to take, but like I have some issues with Randall from this game. I have a couple issues with the way he started the game. Didn't love that. Played hard. Did he play smart? No. Did he play well? No. Was it a good game? No. Should he have played as many minutes as he did? 31? No. Should Obi Toppin have played more minutes? Yes. We'll get back to that in a bit. But like, even like, you know, it's tough for me to absolutely kill Randall because again, it's the Bucks defense. RJ finished the night 7 for 17, got his 20 points. Look at that. RJ loves getting those 20. Yeah, About as many valuable calories in those 20 points as a bag of Doritos. Maybe some Cool Ranch. I don't know. Cool Ranch more nutritious than regular? Maybe some spicy nacho. Ooh, I love spicy nacho. Yummy. In the tummy. Yeah. How about you show up at the tip? How about you make some open threes? How about you, help your team when they need you? How about you play How about all these wonderful articles about, RJ defending the other team's best player. He's playing, play. How about you actually play the good defense that people are writing about that you're playing? Because I'm not seeing it. Not even a little bit. Make guys' lives hard around the screen. Don't just give up the lane to the basket. There's not a whole lot of value in that. I don't want to pour it on RJ. I'm just really, 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 quite frankly, a little disgusted with how he started the year. But he's made for this, man. He's built for New York, so he'll be fine. Evan Fournier, not to be outdone. Evan Fournier, give it up for him. Minus 22 in 20 minutes of action. I have a feeling most of the conversation tonight will be surrounding him and Emmanuel Quickley. Emmanuel Quickley did end up playing 28 minutes, was very good in those 28 minutes. Evan Fournier was very bad in his 20 minutes, shot 4 for 12. Not really sure why Emmanuel Fournier, God, Jesus Christ. Evan Fournier is still starting games for this team. I'm not sure how much longer that can go on. I'm not sure how much longer that should go on. But yeah, he hasn't been very good. And he does one thing really well, and it's make tough threes. And he did that tonight. To his credit, he did that tonight. He was 3 for 7 from deep, and those were all pretty difficult looks. But if that's the only thing you're bringing to the table, and right now it kind of is the only thing Evan Fournier is bringing to the table, shouldn't be starting. And there's an argument based on where this team is at and what they want to accomplish and what they want to get out of the season that maybe he shouldn't even be playing. Something we've talked about on recent post games. I'm sure we'll talk about it again now. Mitch got in some foul trouble. I can't blame him. Maybe some people will. I thought he played pretty well in the minutes that he was out there. I thought he defended Giannis about as well as you could defend him. It's the hardest player to guard in the league. Hartenstein, you got to be better on the glass, buddy. Got to be better on the defensive glass. But he was also, 3 for 8 from the field, but all the 3 makes were all floaters. So how about that? Cam Reddish, pretty abysmal first half in terms of his shot selection, at least. Had a nice bucket in the second half. A couple of nice defensive plays. The tease continues. And then Obi and IQ. Obi and IQ were the best parts about tonight. Obi topping so far this season 8 made 3-pointers and 15 attempts. That's great. Got him 17 minutes tonight. It's like it's tough. It's tough. It really is. And I don't really know what to say. Quickly is easier. Like Quickly should probably be starting. I don't think that's much of a conversation. He deserves to be starting based on his play. I don't know if they want to keep him coming off the bench I'm not honestly. I've always defended it because it's like, okay, they see him long term as a bench pace. They want to keep him in that role. 28 minutes is fine for him. That he should have played 28 minutes tonight. He probably should have played 30 or 32 minutes tonight. But if you're gonna do that, then start Grimes, and then what do you do with Fournier? I don't know. I don't know. These are not easy questions. Obi, would have liked them to just keep Obi in. Just keep him in to finish the game. It's not like it would have won them the game, wouldn't have. But this would have been a prime opportunity for them to be like, you know what, kid? You were good tonight. You were the better of the 2 players between him and Randall. I understand the ways that Randall probably helped them more tonight are ways that are more subtle, whereas Obi, he splashes three threes. So those are obvious. They're in your face. And there are ways on the defensive end and boxing out and things of that nature that are maybe not so obvious that maybe Randall had a better game. And I'm not saying ignore those things, but who cares? You're down by whatever they were down by, a dozen to the Bucks with 5 minutes to go. Just leave the kid in. Leave the kid in. Let him finish. Randall didn't have it tonight. There's no shame in that. But they didn't do that. And that's That's a Tibbs thing. That's an organizational thing. And I don't want to kill Tibbs. And I actually think Tibbs came out and had a great game plan defensively. I thought the team was prepared to play defensively. I think, again, it was execution issues. It was not game plan issues why they ended up giving up 119 points to the Bucks. You have to box out. Like, if you don't box out against this team, it's death. You have to make your free throws. But I said all that stuff already. That's it. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm sure there's going to be some takes tonight, some fire. And let's get to it on a Friday night. Robert Cross starts us off. Of course he does. Is it fair and reasonable to say the Knicks front office needs to do something so Obi plays more? I'm not a happy man. Hashtag 53 wins. Robert, you're in good company. I'm not a happy man either. I don't tend to get as bent out of shape about the Obi thing because I think it's more an unfortunate situation than anything else, dating back to what Randall turned into after they drafted Obi. It's neither here nor there. Yeah, I mean, what do you want them to do? You know, I said it in April. The most interesting thing for me for the Knicks this summer is what they do with Randall and whether they move him or whether they don't. And, like, I don't want to make this a trade Randall postgame, but, like, nothing has changed however many 5 or 6 months later. It still comes down to if Randall's on this team, Obi's role is going to be what it is. If Randall is on the team. If Randall's not on the team, then things change. And it changes for Obi. It changes for RJ because now it's no more like, oh, am I the second banana? Am I the third banana? And like this, that, and the other thing. No, RJ, you're going to get your 28 or 29 usage, and there's not going to be any conversation about that. But I don't know what they could do. You know, marketplace dictates that, as I'm sure you know full well. Thank you as always for getting us started off. Rob DeLuce, what's up, fam? We need a serious discussion about RJ. I mean, what do you want me to say? I've made my feelings very clear on RJ over the last 3 years, and every time I always kind of skirted the line, and every time I stepped a toe over that line. So all those torches, man, the torches, they burn bright. They burn bright for their boy. I just, he just needs to be better. Just needs to be better. Hit shots. Like I get, like, I don't know where to go with this because it's like, it's not really a process thing. Like, yeah, I'd like to see a few more passes on some of the not great shots, but honestly, tonight, the worst shot that he took went in. It was the runner against Drew Holiday off the glass. But which leads to a whole different conversation and why people who really do truly believe in this kid long term believe in him, because he does have moments where you're like, man, there's something there. There's something real there. Like, he could do some stuff. He's talented. Like, he keeps trying. He keps at it. He didn't give up. He had a terrible first half. He kept at it. He did finish with 20. I mean, empty calories or not, that's like, it's an impressive thing in a way. It's not enough. It's not enough if this team wants to be good. I'll just say that. It's not enough if this team wants to be good. And the way the team is currently constructed in this starting lineup, he would be better served just concentrating on spot up threes and having spent all summer, taking 500 threes in empty gyms. That's not the player. I mean, he knows he has to do that, but that's also not the player he sees himself as, which, gets into a whole nother conversation. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Kevin, what's going on, Kev? Good to hear from you as always. Can't really be too mad about a 10-point loss to the Bucks. Sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad. I don't think most reasonable fans are mad. I think it's just like, the same shit that we always talk about when we're frustrated. You'd like to not talk about those same things. And let me finish reading his comment. Tibbs coached a really good game, but some rotational quibbles, obviously. Good word. Shout out Bernardo Zarowski. Yeah, of course there's going to be rotational quibbles. Like, it's like, it's Fournier. It's like all the same shit, But at the same time, you do have to recognize that the Bucks are gonna most of the time when they play a team that's a middle of the pack team, which the Knicks are, they're gonna make them look bad. It's like if you're the Knicks, you're gonna look good against Detroit and Orlando and Charlotte. Like you could look good against those teams. You're not gonna look as good against this team. So it lends itself to frustration and angst. And I get that. And like they're not I don't think they're gonna play another team as good as like looking around the league. Obviously there are other very good teams. No one's playing as well as this team. So this was a good test. And I hope they come out against the Cavs on Sunday night. The Cavs who beat the Celtics in overtime, by the way. We're not gonna talk about the stat lines in that game. You could feel free to look those up at your leisure. They could beat that team even on the road. They're capable of going and beating the Cavs. Even not playing perfectly. Tonight was tough. Good comment though. Thank you as always, Kev. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Despite brief body language lapses, I like the way they kept fighting on an off night. Any learnings from a night like this, or do you just flush it? No, I don't think I'm watching Tibbs on my screen right now. I guarantee you, at some point during this press conference, he will say the words, "You win or you learn." I think there are ways that they could learn from this. They did not play a perfect game. Like even putting aside the boxing out issues and missed free throws and stuff, there were execution issues. Like they could have executed better. And Milwaukee's defense and the way they go about with the personnel that they have, they're designed to make you execute poorly. And the Knicks, the reason why they were able to overcome their talent deficit 2 years ago is they never allowed other teams to not out execute them, to get them out of their execution. Like they always came out and they executed their game plan. Like they knew what they wanted to do and they figured out a way to do it. Now it didn't always work because of the talent deficit, but they executed without fail. What made last season so frustrating is they never executed. And their talent was arguably what was more responsible for getting them the 37 wins than their execution. Although they did, like the bench, I would argue, did a wonderful job executing last year, but that's a different story. So yeah, you go and you look at the tape and you clean up what you can clean up and you try to get better next time. But I don't think they should hang their heads after this. And it was nice that they kept fighting. It's a good sign, for sure. It's a good sign. They could have let go of the rope and they didn't. Good comment, good question, Anthony. Sam L, what's going on, Sam? It's like Clyde said, nothing to hang our heads for tonight. Just couldn't make the big shots. Love the way Randall played, physical, all 48, despite the lumps. I mean, again, I'm hard on RJ. I'm going to be hard on Randall. You're paid 20, whatever he's paid, $25, $26 million a year with that physique and that body. And like that, arguably is still his best NBA trait, is like he just brings a physicality to the court that few players do with that amount of skill. Like, yeah, fucking go be physical against Giannis Antetokounmpo. At the very least, be physical. So that should be the bare minimum. That's why I'm not giving Julius any flowers for, he went out there and he was physical. Well, fuck yes, go be physical. That said, based on what we saw last year, yes, it was nice to see. But he was 3 for 10. Yeah, it's 3 for 10. And yeah, in terms of the couldn't make the big shots, I wrote down 2 instances. Not that anybody needs to be reminded of these, but like, I didn't even mention the 18-0 run. Yeah, Bucks went on an 18-0 run in the third. That's the thing. It's like you let up for 4 minutes, and that's it. They run you out of the building. But they came back from that. But 6-point swing early in the fourth. RJ missed a 3, and then Javon Carter made a 3 at the other end. That would have got it down to, I think that might have got it down to either would have gotten down to 8 or would have gotten it down to 5. I forget. Might have gotten it down to 8. And then there was a 5-point swing later in the fourth when Cam didn't hit anything on a spot up shot, spot up 3. and he's been shooting those well. And then Giannis came down and scored. So yeah, there were a couple instances where a basket goes in here or there, maybe gets more competitive. Good comment there. TK, what's going on, TK? Disappointed in Tibbs' lack of awareness. The Bucks had 3 7-footers on the floor a lot of time, and not even trying out Randall or Obi at small forward to counter. It's not a lack of awareness. I can promise you that. I can promise you that he has thought of every conceivable possibility. It's not like somebody went to him in the locker room after the game and was like, you're allowed to play Randall and Obi together at the 3 and the 4, and he's like, oh shit, I thought the rules didn't allow that. That's not it. There are reasons he doesn't do it, but that gets into it's not awareness. That gets into the issues that I've been talking about with Tibbs for a little while now, which is that he's just not. He stays in a box, and he wants to be perfect in that box. And if you're not perfect in that box, he's going to say, well, if you executed and you gave max effort and you stayed in the box, we would have won. And you know what? But here's the thing. He was probably right tonight. If they had executed perfectly in the box, in his little box, yeah, maybe they do win this game because of all the reasons I cited when I started the show. But, that's not fun. That's not exciting. As I see the Lakers lost tonight, they are now 0-5. Again, always good to keep things in perspective, talk about a team that got mad at its coach and fired him. Yeah, clearly Frank Vogel was the problem with the Lakers. But I digress. Yeah, so is it possible that Randall plus Obi at the 3? I had the thought as I was watching the game. I was like, it might not be a bad time to try it out. And as I had the thought, I was like, it's never going to happen because because that would open up a range of possibilities. Some of those possibilities would be good. Some of those possibilities would be bad. That's how he coaches. That's how most coaches coach. It's not that he's not an outside the box thinker. He's an inside the box actor. And if you want to criticize him for that, you criticize him for that. It's fine. I'm not going to begrudge you that, but I promise you it's not for a lack of awareness. Thank you for the contribution, by the way. Forgotten NYC, lack of shooting in general reeks. The Bucks have a ton. Yeah, the Knicks came into this game 13th in effective field goal percentage. I think that's going to go down a bit, although they did, to their credit, and mostly to Obi Toppin's credit, finish tonight shooting 40% overall and 34% from 3. So, you know what? It's like they made some shots. It's just, it just goes to show they can't. Again, this should be obvious, but you cannot beat a team like the Bucks if your supposed top 3 offensive players, 2 of them have bad shooting games and one of them has an atrocious shooting half. You're just not going to do it. Thank you for the comment contribution as I mute to blow my nose. Next up, Josh Kyle. RJ needs to improve from 3. Sims over Hartenstein. I can't listen. Hartenstein's really good, and he's really good at a lot of things. I think a team like the Bucks is a particularly bad matchup for him because of his issues rebounding the ball on the defensive glass. That said, it felt like there was a stretch there where their most reliable offensive option was Hartenstein floaters. He made his first 3 that he took. And he does other stuff too. He's a creative passer and all that stuff. But the Bucks just take all that shit away. They just take it all away. So you know what? You might be right for tonight. Maybe a little bit more Sims would have been a good idea. Not crazy. I thought we'd see more of him for sure. Especially after Tibbs' recent comments that he was praising him. Chris Carter, thanks for the contribution, Chris. Is it too late to trade? Oh my God. I was honestly, for all the reasons that I was hoping RJ would start out the year well, this is the number one reason. Yes, it would help the team and just be nice for him. But this is number one. Is it too late to trade RJ for Donovan Mitchell? I kid, kind of, but he's really starting to piss me off. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm just at a loss for words. That trade didn't happen. Can we just get something straight? I've texted this to a few people and maybe in a few DMs. In case this wasn't clear when it happened, Leon Rose's plan from the minute one that he started, or excuse me, Gerson Rosas started negotiations with the Utah Jazz. The plan all along, we'll slow play it, and we'll slow play it, and we'll slow play it. And then at the end, we'll put RJ on the table. And that gets it done. Because where else are they going to trade him? Who else is going to give them a player of RJ's caliber plus multiple unprotected picks? We'll throw in another young player if we have to. But we are going to keep the guy we really want to keep off limits, and that's obviously Quentin Grimes. Not that Quentin Grimes is untouchable. Not saying that he was not, but that was the plan all along. They wanted to move him. Yes, there are people in the organization that continue to be very big fans of him, and there was some divisiveness, I'm sure, and there were some people who maybe didn't want to include him in that trade, and yada 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 yada. That was always the plan. And that was so obviously the plan because they knew it, because once RJ was taken off the table, Utah said, fuck off. And the reason Utah said fuck off is they knew at that point the thing that they could then get to flip for more stuff, because say what you want about RJ Barrett, you could flip him for more stuff because he's a big wing that can do different things on the court. But comparing the esteem that Utah held him in as a flippable asset is night and day from the esteem that many people would like the Knicks to have had for him from the beginning as some sort of a franchise piece / cornerstone. He is what he is. I hope he gets better. And if he does, again, I'm going to have all the egg on my face, and you could send me all the fucking crows you want. It's year 4. Let's fucking see it. Come on. Next up. Forgotten NYC, another one. Mitchell having an MVP start while RJ stinks is bad. Man, I didn't think the tables would turn this quickly. I mean, it's only a couple comments, but listen, give the kid time. Again, my version of a compliment here is going to sound like this. He is what he is. Give him time. He's not a superstar level player. He's a very nice NBA player who may someday become something better than a very nice NBA player. He'll improve. He will get better. There will be nights where he will look like a star. We look forward to those, and we will be happy once it happens. That's it. Matt Smith, what's going on, Matt? As much as I want to watch a winning team, games like this remind you how far the gap is. Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, that's Giannis. That's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Middle of the road finish just does not get us closer. Watching Donovan Mitchell on Sunday is going to sting. It'll probably sting for a lot of people. But they didn't want to give up a third unprotected first-round pick. And for this franchise, I'm not sure I blame them for that. And in terms of should they have added Grimes to the 2 unprotecteds and RJ? That's the more interesting conversation to me. It just puts you in a tough spot because at that point you've given up control of your draft, because I'm sure it was 23 and 25 and swaps probably in 24 and 26. If I had to guess, I don't know that for a fact, but if I had to guess, or maybe firsts in 23 and 27, and then the Milwaukee first, they were trying to get away with putting in, and then swap, I don't know, whatever it was. You're giving up control of your draft for the foreseeable future, and then you're leaving yourself without a single wing player that you have any modicum of confidence in, because that would have left them just with Cam. And in a league that is dominated by wings, in a league where the Clippers were picked by many people, including me, to make the finals because they have 11 playable wings, and we would have had, a half of a playable wing in Cam Reddish. So it's not, again, it's not quite that binary, but yeah, is it frustrating watching Mitchell on another team? Yeah, sure. It's a little frustrating. Thanks for the contribution, Matt. Appreciate it. I-95 Bully, what do you What do you do when Evan is getting cooked on D and Cam is taking bad shots? Could have used the Grimes. Oh my God. I mean, this is the fifth, every game this season, I've thought, man, they could really use Quentin Grimes right now. There again, it's like I'm not saying like they should, there shouldn't, we can't discuss like whether he should have been put in that trade to get them over the finish line. It's the conversation we'll probably be having for years. But like, if there's one thing I don't begrudge this team for, it's valuing Quentin Grimes and feeling like Quentin Grimes is going to have a major role this year because they need him and he's good and he would help and he would have helped tonight a lot. All these pick and rolls where, guys are, RJ. And again, it's not, I don't want to blame RJ because this is not RJ's forte. RJ should not be guarding the best perimeter player. That's not his skill set. He's not that level of defender. He's never been that level of defender. He's never shown it. He didn't show it in the pros. He didn't show it in college. That's not him. He's a much better help defender, I think. And like a free safety role. That's what he should be doing. As a credit to Benji Ridholtz, who points that out, or has pointed that out in the past. Put Quentin Grimes on these guys. That's what his role should be. And then to knock down threes. So yeah, they could have used Grimes tonight. I don't know if they win the game, but would have helped for sure. Guy Huber then. When does Obi ask for a trade? I mean, look, man. He seems to buy in. He seems to be all in with here. I don't think he's going to ask for a trade, but like, I don't know, man. He's a CAA client, so you have to think the lines of communication are open. I mean, I do think it's notable that he was in the first rumored trade for Donovan Mitchell. He was the first name in there with Evan Fournier and however many picks they were offering and I wonder, was that as much about the Knicks trying to keep what they really wanted, Grimes and maybe quickly off the table, as it was kind of doing a solid for Obi Toppin to just be like, yeah, we're going to send you someplace where you're going to play 40 minutes a night, I wonder about that. But, here we are. I wouldn't blame him if he asked for a trade. I hope he doesn't. I love Obi Toppin. And he's the one, other than Grimes, who I want to see how good he gets. Even, Obi's the one guy who it's like, if you just reconstructed the team and you created a team that really could allow his skill set to flourish, which I don't believe is this team, which is part of the problem. What would he look like? How good could he be? What would his ceiling be? I don't know the answers to those questions. I wish I did. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out at some point. Next up, thank you, Huber. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. Milwaukee had impressive t-shirt cannons, but we have Fuddy. Yes, we do have Fuddy. Thank God for that. Hashtag 53 wins. The 53 wins takes a hit tonight, Robert. Takes a hit. Takes a small hit. Not a big hit. Small hit. Thank you for the contribution, as always. Anthony Sixto, I believe RJ levels out, but we have seen Randall, IQ, Obi add wrinkles to their game. Notice anything new to RJ's bag? He's an easy scout at the moment. Yes, he's an easy scout. He drives. The wrinkle that I wanted RJ to add to his game, and actually, let me give him some credit because I noted this down. When did he do it? I think I noted this down. I hope I noted this down. It was one of the breaks that RJ was. It was midway through the third. No, excuse me, midway through the second. And Tibbs was like yelling "Go, go, go" on the sideline, and RJ had it, and he wasn't really going, but he drove. And he whipped a really nice pass. I think it was to Fournier, and Fournier missed. that's the adjustment that I want to see more of. Is so like you're getting attention on drives. You're doing a good job of getting attention on drives. Guys converge on you. But the reason they converge on you is because they think you're going to shoot all the time, and you do shoot most of the time. Pass more out of those. We've seen him pass out of drives pretty well. Do more of that. I don't even need it to be live dribble passing. If you want to drive and then stop and plan and take a half a second to gather yourself and then kick it back out, like that's fine. But again, I don't even know if that's to blame tonight, because tonight was just he bricked a bunch of threes, and I didn't have a problem with any of the shots he took on drives. They just didn't go in. So, but yeah, I wish I had something more to offer than that. Thanks, Anthony. Mike Jameson, what's going on, Mike? Obi deserves more minutes. Yes, it will be better for Obi and Randall. Yeah, I think so. Probably. Randall would be better in shorter bursts, in my opinion. Evan looked old tonight, my God. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he looked old or... It's just so frustrating because, like, Evan, he does things every game. Like, even tonight, he took one of the Milwaukee defenders off the dribble and, like, drove the lane and had, like, a nice little floater or something. Like, that's hard to do, and he could do it. His threes that he hits are not easy threes to hit. And he hits them. So it's like not like the guy can't do stuff. It's just just making guttural noises at this point. That is what Evan Fournier can induce sometimes. As far as Randall in shorter bursts, I find it fascinating. The Bucks, again, all praise to them as an organization. Now, Antetokounmpo played 39 minutes, but Antetokounmpo, I feel like it seems like he comes in, he takes a rest, he comes back in, plays with the backups, takes another rest, and then he comes back in to finish the half or the game. Typically, guys don't like that because guys want to get into more of a rhythm, and that gets to more of what are you seeking from Julius Randle, and what kind of version of him are you getting? Because I would argue that the version that we should have of Julius Randle, and we've been obviously talking about this a lot over the last couple months, is something more like Giannis. Now, obviously, it goes without saying that Julius Randle is not Giannis Antetokounmpo, but to try to be, again, more of a finisher and, doing more stuff off ball and, something where maybe rhythm isn't quite as important. I don't know if that gets necessarily a ton more minutes for Obi, but, just something interesting that I wanted to point out. I'll keep saying it. This is Kevin Danishevsky, by the way. Hi again, Kev. This game shows how much we need Quentin Grimes. No disagreement there. RJ is clearly not a great, and be real, even a good perimeter defender, and we need his three ball too. I think he's better served off ball. I think he makes more of an impact defensively off ball than he does on ball. I just don't know. Like, maybe someone who, because I'm not. People are better watching the tape than I am. Never going to be one to hide from that. When I watch RJ defend, I see a guy who struggles at the point of attack. And he does not get skinny on screens. That's really what it comes down to. He doesn't get skinny on screens. And the second a good screen is set, he's trailing the driver. He's trailing the play. And he'll flare off and, adjust to if there needs to be a switch or whatever. But I just feel like it would be more beneficial to have someone in those situations who makes life a little bit more difficult for the guy who's initially trying to gain the penetration. Because God knows we saw what a pain in the freaking ass Javon Carter was in the first half when, Mitchell Robinson, who granted is not the best screen setter, was trying to screen for Jalen Brunson, and Javon Carter was like, screw this. And look, Javon Carter's a different player than RJ Barrett. And I'm not trying to say that RJ should be able to do what Javon Carter does. I want to be very clear about that. But, like, it goes back to role. It goes back to role. What is the role you're using him in? And the role they're using him in right now, defensively, out of necessity, might I add, is not ideal. It's just not. Good question. Good comment. Robert Cross with one more. Trade proposal. Oh, my God. We're doing this again. I just wrote a whole thing about this today. Shout out to my own Knicks Film School newsletter. Randall Fournier and Cam to the Lakers for Russ and a 27 first. Get it done, Cutlets. Hashtag 53 wins. Robert, I know you read the newsletter. If anybody is curious about my thoughts about why that is probably not going to happen, both from a Lakers perspective and from a Knicks perspective, feel free to read today's Knicks Film School newsletter. I don't see it, but I remain curious about how the Knicks would respond if there was curiosity from another team about the prospect of acquiring Julius Randle. And the part I always come back to is if they're playing well, they are probably not going to disrupt that formula. And if they are playing poorly, or they think it's worth the risk in future assets or future flexibility to make such a trade, what are the odds that Randle has played well enough to warrant someone else's interest, legitimate interest? I know everybody wants to paint the Lakers as this desperate shit show, and maybe they are. I don't know. But I just don't see them. I'm not sure I see them making that deal. Thank you, Robert. As always. Shout out San Diego. Michael Miranda, what's going on, Michael? Definitely think the fact that we kept it close was a positive, for sure. Yeah, I mean, this team has heart. I talked to, shout out to Monica McNutt, today's guest on the pod. I don't think she was blowing smoke up anybody's ass when she was talking about how this team has a good vibe, good feel to it, the whole thing. But man, these rotation choices and decisions can be infuriating. Would have Randall at the 5 and Obi at the 4 down the stretch. I'll push back there. Not against this team. I mean, they couldn't get rebounds as it was. Against other teams, yes. And again, to the comment earlier, the notion that this was a night to maybe pull out Obi and Randall at the 3 and the 4. Don't think it's nuts. But look, I get the rotation frustrations. I'm not gonna begrudge anyone who has an issue with wanting Obi to have played more, wanting quickly to have played more, wanting quickly to start, wanting to send Fournier to the moon. Tonight is not the night to have any issues with any of those sentiments. Thank you, Michael. Frank Miranda, what's going on, Frank? Hey, Macri, it's your boy Frank from Patreon. What's going on, Frank? Love the bit. 36 win team. Ooh. For those in the, this is going to be harsh. For those in the RJ Hive who didn't want to trade him for Spida, a portion of the super chat should be used to administer drug tests. Oh, my goodness gracious. I approve this message. Oh, Frank. Thank you. I owe you one because you're going to put me in the position to defend RJ Barrett. And I really do want to defend him because I don't blame him one bit. I think that's partially why I've always pushed back against some of the more exuberant portions of the Hive, is because I think it does a disservice to him as a player to expect something out of him or treat him as something that he is not. I don't just say this to say it. I believe that there is a very good chance he makes an all-star team someday or a couple all-star teams someday. I think he is a hard enough worker, and I think he will continue to improve in all the areas he can improve. And I do not for one second, look at this slow start and think it is indicative of his future or his ceiling. I just think it reaffirms what I've always thought about him, which is that there is a level of player that sometimes I feel like he's made out to be. And then there's the level of player that the evidence suggests that he is. And it's not 5 games worth of evidence. It's 3 years plus. And even go back before that. It's just in college, It's all the evidence. It just suggests he's a certain type of player. And I feel like it's not what he's made out to be. It doesn't mean he's going to be bad, or doesn't mean the contract's not going to age well. I still love the contract. I absolutely love the contract, but again, I will look at the market. The market dictates. The market tells you all you need to know about players, and his agent in a league where centers are getting more devalued by the day, unless they are one of like the upper echelon, went to the mattresses for his client DeAndre Ayton last summer and said, "Nope, we're not taking a 4-year max. We want the full bag. We will take it to restricted free agency." And they did, and they got the max because that was what someone was willing to pay DeAndre Ayton. For RJ Barrett to accept or Bill Duffy on RJ Barrett's behalf to accept a total number of guaranteed dollars in $107 million that is roughly half the total dollars that he would have been given on a max contract should it have been awarded to him by the Knicks next summer. Would have been a little bit less if it was awarded by another team because it would have only been a 4-year deal without the same raises. Like no agent is out here doing any favors for any teams. That was, they read the market and they made a deal based on the market. And it says that RJ Barrett is a $100 million player. It's a really good player. But there's a gap between that level of player and the players that sometimes he is discussed with. We could just leave it at that. Thank you for the contribution. Thank you for the comment, Frank. TK. Also, I know we're still developing, but the front office needs to make the choice of giving Brunson real pieces. Also, I don't know how you want them to give Brunson real pieces. I don't know where they're supposed to get those pieces from, but it's a nice thought. Also, Mitch is 10 times better as a help defender than on ball. So you want him more in the Robert Williams role. That's fine. I think he's pretty good on ball myself. I don't judge any player, whether you love them or you hate them, based on a game against this team. Because again, this freaking Bucks team is unreal in how they defend and execute and their game plan and the whole thing. So I wouldn't judge Mitch based on tonight, but that's just my 2 cents. Thank you for the contribution. Michael Miranda with one more. Tibbs, please, if you call a timeout for in a 10-0 run, make one sub. I thought the same thing. I had this exact same thought. It was during the 18-0 run. Called the timeout. We saw this a lot last year. It was frustrating last year. It was frustrating tonight. It was 5.5 minutes left anyways. Try something, anything. Can't with the hard-headedness. Yeah, he's stubborn as a mule. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not so good. Tonight, more on the not-so-good side. Thank you, Michael. Dom the Dentist, what's going on, Dom? We should have given the Jazz what they wanted for Mitchell. I think that's a shrug happy face emoji. Look, you guys know I love Donovan Mitchell. And he's awesome. Like, there's a reason I wanted him. I think he's a top 10 offensive player in the league. I think he has more upside than he's shown. To give up everything they wanted, it would have, even if we had him. And shit, if they had made that trade, let's just say they made, pick either trade. Pick RJ 3 firsts or RJ Grimes and 2 firsts. Pick either trade. Because Grimes hasn't played. So basically, in either way, you're just taking this exact same team. You're subtracting Evan Fournier. You're subtracting RJ Barrett. And you're adding Donovan Mitchell. So Cam probably starts all these games. I don't know if I love that. Would they have a better record? I don't know. It's an interesting thought experiment, actually. Look, we don't have to redo the Mitchell thing. It didn't happen. Let's move on. Thanks for the comment, though. TK with one more. Quite disgusted with RJ as of late, and I'm in no mood to wait till January 1st for him to go from 35% to 41% field goal percentage. Yeah, yeah. I don't. I'm curious. I wish I could do like a poll on this about how many of the people who are like very upset with RJ's start are people who were like always skeptical of him, or how many people were like more, even if not in his hive, or were like hive adjacent, and now that he got paid and he started like this, are like kind of starting to flip. I'd personally be curious about that. Neither here nor there. Also, TK asks thoughts on the Primo situation. Please let's trade Randall at his peak value. I think Randall's value has improved a little bit since the summer. If you could find the team that wants to trade for Julius Randle right now, and give the Knicks like a real thing, I'm all ears. I'm always here for fake Julius Randle trades. It's one of my trademarks here. Thoughts on the Primo situation? No, not until I know what happened. I know he put out a comment indicating that he's been dealing with some trauma, I believe was the word he used. My assumption is that something happened that was bad enough for them to waive him. And we know something happened recently because they just picked up his option a few weeks ago, or like a week ago. So this is not like you don't do that if you're like all in, or sorry, if you're out on a player. You don't pick, like, you don't light whatever it was $4 million on fire. So something happened, and I'm not going to make any comments about Primo or anything like that until I know what happened. Good question, though. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? Played the best team in the East tough. It is what it is. Yeah. Got to box out, rebound better. Completely agree. Than that, regardless of who we play. Yeah, they just make it so freaking hard. They really do make it hard. Credit to that team. Like, you cannot give up all these offensive rebounds. You can't do it. And again, that's Hartenstein. I will put the blame on Hartenstein for that, for a lot of those. Not all of them, but a lot of them. It wasn't all on him, but like he's not great on the defensive glass. It's probably his biggest flaw in terms of like what they really need from him on a consistent basis. But yeah. Good comment there. Thank you. Did anyone else Build Through Taj asks, did anyone else read Maxi's stat line? Yeah, I read it. And then watch RJ miss that wide open layoff off the fast break and have it sting more than his usual brick. Like, God, I'm starting to feel bad. I will reference, shout out, friend of the pod, Michael Scotto. Him and his friends at Hoops Hype did a great piece in which they asked a whole bunch of executives around the league to give them a top 5 list of like most like the young players that they would like want to build around or whatever. Tyrese Maxey made that list. He was one of 14 players to make that list. RJ didn't get any votes. He's not there right now. I hope he gets there. I really do. Somebody wrote something to me. This is neither here nor there. Someone wrote something to me in a newsletter comment this week. After a newsletter in which I universally praised Julius Randle, was like, it's very clear that you want Julius Randle to fail. And it so unnerved me because I was like, I wrote him probably hastily back. And I was like, that is ridiculous. Like, why? I never want any player on the Knicks to fail. I have opinions about players, and I think certain players are maybe better than consensus, and I think certain other players are maybe not as good as not as good as consensus. But like, I want everybody to succeed, even if I have a take about a player, and like I've had some harsh takes about RJ. Like, I want him to succeed. And And I would love to be wrong, but I've just never viewed him in the same way as most people do. And like when I see Maxey tonight, and and then I watch RJ do whatever he does or doesn't do, there's not an ounce of like shock or like angst or anything. I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, well, of course, because that's Tyrese Maxey. That's not RJ Barrett. That's not who he is. He's not that level of prospect. Because you could tell. You could tell when Tyrese Maxey went off for, what did he go on for, like 42 as a rookie when he wasn't playing any minutes? The one game they were down a bunch of injuries. Dude went off for 40-something points, you know? And then obviously last year, Maxey made a leap, and he's probably making another leap this year. Different level of shot maker. That's all there is to it. But he's going to have defensive concerns throughout his career. So not a perfect player by any means. Mahid Wheeler, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Barrett plays better with Obi. We still have the same problem after 3 years. RJ Julius don't mix. Best comment of the night as far as I'm concerned. It is incredible to me that these guys have played. I wish there was a way to look up easily minute pairings leaderboards, or minutes pairing leaderboard for the Knicks specifically since the championship era, since the 90s. So like since the year 2000, where you could look up what duos have played the most minutes together, because I have to think RJ and Julius have played. They're climbing that leaderboard. I don't know what the other contenders would be. Maybe like Nate Robinson and David Lee. Maybe like Stephon Marbury and Jamal Crawford. Maybe I'm trying to think who else. Like Melo, and I don't know who Melo played the most minutes with. But like that's the point. Is like there haven't been a lot of duos over the last 20 years, especially 22 years, especially for the Knicks, who have like had the opportunity to build continuity and to develop each other, a game where you're really playing off each other. And like you could watch RJ Barrett and Julius Randle play this season, and or like this game tonight, for instance, or any game this season. Like again, Milwaukee, bad example. Pick any other game. Pick literally any game. And then ask someone, is this the fifth game or fourth game or third game of the first season these two players have played together, or the fourth season these two players have played together? And like, if you want to blame Tibbs. He's not a very creative offensive coach, and that's fine. I would argue that perhaps the skill sets of these two players do not mesh particularly well, which is part of the reason why I wanted them to trade Randle this summer. And yes, RJ Barrett should be getting more run with the second unit. Not saying he should play fewer minutes necessarily, although, God, what did he play tonight? 40? Probably played about 40. But yes, it's a great comment. I appreciate that. Played 36. So, Forgotten NYC. Man, a lot of angst and upset people after 3-2. Knicks are 3-2. Lost to the best team in the league by 10 or 11. What is the ultimate goal here? Pretty clearly not a contender, and we're a first-round exit at best. Is the plan to just tread water till the star wants out? Yes. Yes. That is the plan. That is the only plan. There is no other plan. Part of why I criticized the front office this summer after the Mitchell thing went down. You have a plan that has one possible positive outcome, and it is a difficult one because it has to be the right star at the right cost, and you need to bank on several other things happening right to say nothing of the fact that the right star at the right cost needs to ask out. But yes, that's the plan. Glad we established that. TK, would you throw the kitchen sink for Shea? If you're asking me, would I give the package that Utah wanted for Mitchell, would I give up that same package for Shea? I don't think OKC would do it, to be clear. I don't know why OKC would want to add. I mean, I guess I don't know. I have my questions about whether OKC would want a trade package from the Knicks. But just for argument's sake, if I could get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for whatever the package was that would have gotten us Donovan Mitchell, would I do it? Man, I think long and hard about it because I think he's a better fit with Brunson because of the defensive upside, and I still feel like the best version of a Knicks team with Jalen Brunson on it, and I know he didn't have a good game tonight. I'm still all in on Jalen Brunson. I want Jalen Brunson to retire a Knick. I want him to remain like he should be part of their plans moving forward. I'm not saying he's like untradeable and you like have to make every decision with him in mind, but I do think in terms of like he is good enough such that when you are thinking about the type of star trade you might make, I do think Brunson has to factor in your consideration. I think, you know, an ideal team probably has either a big or a big wing as the like co-star to Brunson. Just the notion of like your two best players being in the backcourt, you know, and with what you'd have to give up for Shai, you know, you don't have really enough left over, I don't think, to trade for that next guy and like what Shai's ceiling. So like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would. Good question. Bad eyesight. What's going on, man? We don't need to psychoanalyze. We just got our ass kicked by a better team. Placing this game on one player is dumb. Yeah, no, I don't place it. I'm not. I know that a lot of the conversation is about RJ tonight. It's not on him completely. It's not on him any more than it is on Brunson, Randall, Fournier, Hardenstein. Like this is a team loss. It was a team effort for the good stuff. It was a team loss. The only people who get singled out tonight are I should have mentioned him earlier. We've been an hour in and I haven't even brought him up. But Derrick Rose too. Derrick Rose played a really nice game. He scored 12 points in 15 minutes. He was a +8. Other than quickly, best plus minus on the night. Not that individual plus minus per game means anything. It does not. But Rose was really good. Quickly was really good. Obi was good. They're the only people who deserve to get singled out tonight, good or bad. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on? Put me down for believing in RJ. He's going to have a big year yet. Passing and awareness is better this year. I would need to hear more about the awareness part. It's not awareness on defense because the tape does not bear that out. Are you saying he's taking less bad shots? Okay, that's fine. I'll give you that. He's just not making the shots. So you just think he's gonna play better. Let me rephrase that. He's going to execute better. He's going to score more. He's going to make more shots. That's fine. If you believe that, I hope you're right. And I'll be the first person to stand up here and be like, man, remember all that nonsense that night after that Bucks loss? Would love nothing more. Jacob Reale, what's going on, Jacob? Well, I believe Money Mitch will be fine. This game showed there's still some growing to do. All well and good showing off versus the Plumlee Stewarts of the world, but still struggle with fouls against players who match either his strength or athleticism. Again, he was guarding Giannis. He was guarding Giannis Antetokounmpo tonight. Like, I have a tough time criticizing him, and I thought he had some really nice moments against Giannis. It's not who he should be guarding. It's who he had to guard because they just don't have anyone to guard. Like, and here's the other thing. They were guarding him with their team, as Tibbs likes to say, for a lot of possessions. But when they were guarding him with Mitch, I feel like they were leaving Mitch on him one-on-one, and they were like, you know, it was like a challenge to Mitch. And, you know, was he great? No, but I'm not mad at Mitch tonight. Not one bit. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate the comment. Appreciate the generous contribution. Jabbar Mateen, thank you for the contribution, even though I don't see a comment. If you do make a comment, maybe Justin can get it up there. Blanco Smoke, what's going on? I don't feel like there's any point to Derrick Rose being on this team. There's always one comment out of left field. This is tonight's. Wish they'd ship him somewhere. He's being wasted. Is that to do Derrick Rose a favor? I guess, sure. You want to put Derrick Rose on a contender? I don't know. Maybe Derrick Rose wants to be on this team. He's helpful. He's a good player. He helps give them 48 minutes of sturdy point guard play, steady hand on the floor at all times. Again, this gets back to, I feel like I hate to repeat myself, but like the conversation we had going into the season. There's like a bunch of teams that like going into the season that could reasonably talk themselves into like, hey, if we catch a few breaks, we could be in the conference finals. It's more than half of the league was saying that to themselves before the season started. And then there were another 6 or 7 teams who were like, hey, let's go out and have some fun. We know where our bread is buttered, and it's with Victor Wembanyama. And then there was another 5, 6, 7 teams, depending on your viewpoint, who were in neither of those camps, where it's like, all right, we're not contenders, but we're not tanking either. If your view is that like it just sucks to be in that camp and there's no point to be in that camp, and that anything that like, that the Knicks should just trade Derrick Rose because what's the point? All right, that's fine. I'm not sure I think it's quite that binary, but that's a defensible take. Thank you for the contribution. 007 Angelo. Monica's interview was awesome. Great job, Mac. Thank you. I just love Monica McNutt. As I look up on the screen and I see Mikal Bridges' stat line, 8 for 11 for 23 points. Guy was the most efficient shooter in basketball last season that was not a big man. Guards the other team's best player every night. $90 million 4-year contract. Sam L. What's going on, Sam? I really wonder what the Knicks would look like with a running gun, up-tempo offensive coach. I think they have the horses to thrive in that system. I mean, they're running. I thought they made a pretty good effort to run tonight. I mean, I'll look up their updated pace rankings. I believe they were middle of the pack in pace, which for them is like, do you want them to just like, I mean, run and gun to me is like, we're just going to fire up the first shot and they do fire up the first shot that they have that's an open 3 a lot, but like they do run sets and they take more time. Like I don't know if again, there's this idea with like the ideal team for Obi Toppin, where you're just flying everywhere and he's just like raining down lobs left and right, and it's like, you think of the mid 2000s Suns with Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire. Okay, those teams had some unbelievable talent, and Amari Stoudemire was the center on those teams, and there was no other big man. I mean, later they traded for Shaq and the whole thing, but like different. It's just different personnel, and this team has a lot of money invested in traditional centers. They have a coach that wants to play with a traditional center. It would, like, you want to talk about completely changing the team's DNA. That would be changing their DNA. But maybe they should do that. I don't know. Greg Film Stuff. What's going on, Greg? Thanks for the contribution. My only takeaway from this game is the fact that we severely lack top-end talent. The only takeaway you really need from this. Also, we need Grimes back like tomorrow. Grimes, games like this prove why being in the middle of the pack sucks. Yeah, it's annoying. I mean, the reality is that like half the league is really in the middle of the pack. Because how many teams could win the championship this year? You want to say 7? You want to say 6, 7? Maybe 8? And then how many teams are truly tanking? 7 or 8. So by definition, more than half the league or about half the league is in the middle. It's it's not where you want to be ideally. In terms of the top end talent, well, that's obvious. In terms of needing Grimes back, so not a lot of Cam comments tonight. Cam coming in and a minute into his playing time, shooting a 18-footer with time on the clock. I watched that and I'm like, I think of all the people who reached out to me, I wrote a Cam-centric newsletter a week or so ago after the Memphis game. And a lot of people were like, man, Macri, all due respect, Cam's shown flashes before. He's a tease. This is what he does. The notion that he would come in and take that shot tonight, I know it's only one shot. I don't care. The fact that he would take that shot at all is evidence to me that something's not clicking. He's not getting it. So that's really worrisome to me. I know this wasn't a question about Cam, but it was a question about Grimes. And my point is, yes, they do need Grimes back. Very much so. Good comment. Good question. Their updated pace rankings, by the way. Knicks are 16th in pace after this game. It's really not bad. What? Hey, they're ahead of the Bucks in pace. How about that? Kevin Danishevsky, primo thoughts. Not a fit with the Knicks, but I'm intrigued. Yeah, I said already. I need to find out more. I need more information. I don't want to comment on it until I get more information. But it's just something had to have happened. Because he was a promising player last year, 12th pick, just picked up his option, the whole thing. Thanks, Kev. Andrew Claudio. Hello, Andrew. Hi, John. First time, long time. New Claudio Casino line just posted. Randall Obi minutes together this season, over under 5.5. It's terrible. I think I still like the under. Hashtag 45 losses. Hashtag 37 losses. Hashtag 0 ties. Hashtag Giannis is good, huh? I'm confused. Did he mean to say 45 wins? I don't know. Andrew, text me if you can offer clarification. Yeah. I don't know if that was a bad overbet by me. Not great. Michael Mirando. What's going on, Michael? By the way, in case anybody cares, the Knicks net rating tonight dropped to 8th. I don't know how much it dropped, actually. I think it was around 8th. Their defense is now 10th. Their offense is 11th. It's most updated. Michael Mirando. I don't know why, but RJ gives me so much Josh Smith vibes. Ooh, boy. Slightly smaller, obviously. But that's the comp in my eyes. I think the ceiling is a Chris Middleton type. Shit, if RJ becomes where send me the paperwork. Send me the paperwork where RJ becomes Chris Middleton. Where do I sign? I will sign in blood. Josh was he was a maddening player because he had so much talent. But he, never refined his game in any way. And I don't know what the work ethic was there. And felt like there was other stuff going on. That's the nice thing about RJ. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. He does put in the work and he does approach the game the right way and all those things. I'm not throwing out any comps because every time I do, it gets thrown back in my face. Just he needs to be the best version of himself that he could be. That's all. Bad eyesight. What's going on? To the guy who made the Maxey comment, note Embiid didn't play. He has the same issues as being the third guy. He was in space tonight. Also, every time a young player has a good game, do we contrast it to RJ? No, it's not about that. It's about it's not just one game for Maxey. Go look up. I mean, I'll look it up now. Go look up Maxey's numbers. And look up RJ's numbers. It's not the numbers are what the numbers are. We're not making up the numbers. It's 5 games. Sure, you want to say it's 5 games, but it's just it seems like it's hitting you in the face sometimes. But that's, I don't know. Maybe that's me. Thank you for the contribution. Yushen Zhu, what's going on, Yushen? What summarizes the game for me was when in the fourth quarter, Hill got an offensive rebound. RJ and Julius looked at each other in disbelief. I remember the play exactly. Well, Hill missed and got it again. This team is not in sync and not staying with it. I think they were out of sorts tonight. I would not read too much into that play about the team, about RJ and Julius. I think both guys were out of sorts tonight. And I think part of the issue with this team, and here's where I will draw a larger conclusion. I think both RJ and Julius, more Julius than RJ, but certainly RJ, are players that are very either emotional or in their own head. Like Jalen Brunson wasn't having a good game. He didn't have a good game. You never have to worry about that with Jalen Brunson. About like him like having an off shooting night or him having just like, I mean, he was missing free throws tonight. It was just a bad game. You never have to worry about that having an effect on him when it comes to all the other parts of his game and all the ways that he can contribute, meaningfully. And again, he did not have a good game. RJ is off to this awful start to the season, coming off of this contract that he got. He finally got paid, right? And he's putting all this pressure on himself, and he's trying to prove himself, and he's trying to this, that, and the other thing. Randall last season, like he was asked to adjust and like fit in with Kemba and this and that. Whatever. It went to his head. There was probably personal stuff too, whatever the case may be. Jalen Brunson just got $100 million. Notice how we haven't had one instance where we're like, oh man, Jalen Brunson having a tough time, dealing with the fact that he got all that money. He's trying to prove it to everybody, right? That's not who he is. Like some players deal with that stuff better than others. And I think that play was a microcosm of RJ and Julius just like being guys who like let stuff get to them. And I think they let stuff get to them tonight. For sure. Just looking up Tyrese Maxey's. Jesus Christ. I have to laugh. I'm sorry. Tyrese Maxey's effective field goal percentage thus far this season through 6 games is 62.6 on a 24 usage. I'm not sure if anybody wants me to look up what RJ Barrett's effective field goal percentage is, but I will anyway. RJ's effective field goal percentage on a 25.6 usage, that would be 39.0%. So no, we are not overreacting to one game. Sorry. Skeetco, what's going on? Oh, here we go. We got an RJ defender. RJ slander is ridiculous. Yes, it is ridiculous. That 39, it's just a number. It's like age. It's like age is but a number. I'm 39. I have something in common with RJ Barrett. He has a 39 effective field goal percentage. I'm 39 years old. Just numbers mean nothing. Highest Nick plus minus on the season. There you go. That's what it's all about. 3-point percentage is horrific, but free throw percentage is better. He starts slow, then improves every season. Relax, Berman. Okay, listen. I hope you're right. I saw the plus minus thing going into this game. Again, it's why you have to take this stuff with a grain of salt. You know who had the worst plus minus in the league going into last night? Kevin Durant. So, yeah. Let's keep it going. Jacob Reale. Maybe I'm naive, but I'm just assuming Rose's minutes are to keep him fresh for now. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the minutes. I have the same thought every game. I'd rather have him in game 75 than 5, so I'm not sweating it yet. Yeah, no, there's nothing. There's nothing to sweat it. There's nothing to sweat regardless, because I think there's a lot of reasons why he should be playing fewer minutes. And because I feel like the more minutes he plays, that takes away from Quickly. I can't see any scenario, because Brunson's going to play the minutes that Brunson plays. That's a non-negotiable. So any more minutes that Rose plays is minutes that Quickly is not playing, as this roster is currently constituted, which is to say, Evan Fournier is still here. Emmanuel Quickly is not starting. The whole thing. So I'm not concerned about Rose's minutes at all, whether it's because they're keeping him fresh or because they just want to play him 12 or 13 minutes, whatever it is. But good comment. Herbie, trade RJ, Obi, and Cam for Beal. Yeah, the money's not gonna quite work there, and not sure Washington is doing that deal. Thank you for the contribution. Robert Cross, first time, long time, John. Hi, Robert. It's so good to have you here for the first time. I've captured all the RJ slander receipts. I will remember. Hashtag 53 wins. I really do believe that Robert Cross is the number one RJ supporter, at least who consistently comes to these things. Maybe there's some bigger ones out there, but he's right up there. And you have to continue to own that. Have to. Maybe the Wizards will consider that trade. They lost to the Pacers tonight. Not what you want, really. And the Bulls lost to the Spurs. How about that? Interesting. Thank you, Robert. Anthony Sixto. RJ technically has yet to play 3 seasons worth of games. Rookie year cut short, second year COVID year, just some minor defense there. Minor being the key word. Yeah. Look, he's still young. Joseph J. Blame Tibbs' offensive system. I mean, through 5 games, the 10th best offense in the league without a single player on it that anybody would universally agree is a top 50 NBA player, but that's fine. Not the players. Players are adjusting their strengths to his archaic offense. Tibbs hasn't modernized anything to today's game. He's stunting everyone's talent. Hire Bryant. Well, wouldn't be a post game without a fire Tibbs comment. Thank you for your contribution, Joseph. We appreciate it. Kevin Danishevsky. Look, I love a lot of things about RJ, but I think John and me have one thing in common. We swear by analytics. The data does not lie, especially around the rim. It doesn't lie, and look, best case scenario, he is a player that just starts slow. And if you tell me, but here's the thing. It can't just be the slow starts because this slow start is so bad. And it is very impactful. But let's just say it is a slow start. After the slow start is over, he can't go back to the level of efficiency that he was at last year after last year's slow start, because that's not nearly good enough. He needs to be more. We're talking about a slow start that is on par or worse than previous slow starts so far. Only 5 games, but so far. And then we're requiring an even bigger jump from last year's slow start. If that happens, fine. I'll deal with it. Even if it's like 20 games. It's a long season. You want to tell me 3/4 of the season he's going to be really good? Great. Again, sign me up. I'm not asking for the sun, the moon, and the stars here. But, the numbers are what the numbers are. Oh, Andrew just texted me. Yes, he meant 45 wins. Okay. Blue Diamond Gem SGA averages so far 28.7 assists and 5 rebounds. He's been awesome. He's been playing at an all NBA level. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is awesome. There is no 2 ways about it. No, in no uncertain terms. He is awesome. Yeah, I just if you're asking me would I empty the cupboard for him, I just, it's like that's a difficult for where the Knicks are at. The empty the cupboard question is a difficult question for literally anyone in the league that's not named Giannis Antetokounmpo and Luka Doncic. Maybe 1 or 2 other guys. All right, that's it. Justin, let me know if you want to pop in and say hi before we go. Shout out to Justin Palmer. He produced this episode very well, by the way. We appreciate that. Hey, there he is. What's going on, man?
How you doing? How you doing, everybody? It's nice to finally get on camera so you guys can see my face.
What are your thoughts? So I want to. Can I pick your brain? Can we stay on for like a minute longer?
Oh, for sure.
What are your thoughts? Because I shoot from the hip on these things, oftentimes missing everything, and I don't realize, of course, in the moment because I'm doing it in the moment. What are your thoughts? What are your takeaways from tonight's?
Tonight's game, like everybody said, we haven't played that many quality opponents throughout the first couple of games. So there wasn't really anything to get too excited about as far as, our comfortable performance that it looked like. Jalen Brunson almost seemingly fit into the starting lineup. So everybody was kind of getting hype over that. You can see everybody kind of saying Jalen Brunson All-Star, MVP candidate, da, da, da. You know how it
Start with
goes.
All-Star.
Yeah,
All-Star.
you know how it goes. But now that we finally got our first test against the Milwaukee Bucks, who was our real first playoff opponent, it's nice to kind of see where we stack up, even though we know we weren't really that high in the standings. It's nice to know that we can still put up a fight against those opponents every night. So it should be fun to watch throughout the rest of the season. I'm super excited about the potential of the team. I'm not excited about the way that we lost, the way that the team looked. RJ's performance specifically wasn't really up to par.
Are you an RJ guy? I don't even know this. I should know this, but I don't.
Am I an RJ guy? That's a hard question. That's a hard question to answer.
I think you just answered it by saying it's a hard question to answer. You just answered it.
It's a hard question to answer because before RJ we hadn't had that many lottery picks, so I wanted to support him. I wanted to see him become an all-star, but it's kind of tough knowing that we had the worst record that year and we ended up with the third pick, and the two picks before him happened to be John Morant and Zion Williamson.
I don't know if I would put MVP money on Ja right now, but if I could put I think if I could put first team All NBA, I'd be curious to see what that betting line is. If their betting line is out there after a week. Regarding the draft pick, though, I had a thought earlier tonight that like that draft was a unique draft in that RJ was clearly the third best player in the draft. There was no question about that, and there was clearly, by the way, a drop off after 3 in perceived at the time. Like Garland, I know has done what he's done, but that was not the perception then. And I thought I've thought earlier today in another draft, like for instance, if RJ had exactly the year he had at Duke and was coming out in the K draft, there's an argument that RJ would have gone 6th after Suggs, after Barnes, and then obviously after the top 3. And like you look at like next year's draft, right, with Victor and Scoot and like these are the Thompson twins or whatever. Like there's an argument that maybe if again you change time and you put RJ and Duke like this year, and then he comes out, has the exact same season he does at Duke, maybe next season he's the 6th pick in the draft, the 7th pick in the draft. I wonder how much the perception has developed in the way it has because he was the 3rd pick in the draft. And there is something about being a top 3 pick, especially a top 3 pick in a draft that was seen at the time as like, all right, these are the top 3, right? And then everything else is after that. I wonder about that and how much that has continued to, maybe influence some opinions. And then there's like the raw numbers, which, people like points. You averaged a lot of points last year. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent. Any other thoughts before we go? It's good to see you, though.
No, you definitely have a good point about RJ and his standing as far as being the 3rd pick in the draft and having higher expectations because of that. But not even just that, he was in the national spotlight as a youth player because of his Canada ties. He went to the high pedigree Montverde Academy. He went to Duke. You know what I mean? So he's been in the national spotlight. He was that number 1 player before Zion Williamson.
Checked all the boxes.
Yeah, he was that number 1 player. So he had that expectation coming into the season, even if he was 6th. It wasn't like oh my God, who is RJ Barrett? There was still going to be expectations on him, even as that 6th pick. But there are some extra expectations on him as a 3rd pick and being that high lottery pick in New York.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. I'm just thinking as you're talking, like Harrison Barnes at one point was the number 1 recruit in the nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how Harrison Barnes' career has developed.
Yeah.
And he was the 7th pick in the draft, right? That was a little bit better draft. He didn't have as good of a freshman season, obviously, at UNC. Different role than RJ had when his 1 year at Duke, but like blue blood, went to the high pedigree, like the school that the high pedigree players all go to. obviously came into a very different situation than RJ, right? RJ came into a situation where it's like, here, you take all the shots you want, right? And Harrison Barnes went into a situation where it's like, that's Steph Curry and that's Klay Thompson, and that's Andre Iguodala and so on and so forth. And then he eventually got traded to Dallas, and then he went to Sacramento, and like Harrison Barnes is universally regarded as a guy who's like, he's never going to be an all-star, but like he's a really good player in this league.
Solid.
Dude that any team in the league would probably be happy to pay $20 million a year just to do what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That's all.
Yeah. RJ, I'm not worried about him. He's going to develop. It's just right now, everything is frustrated, and you know how Knicks fans are.
Yes, I do know how Knicks fans. We are two of them.
Yeah, most definitely.
We know how we are. All right, Justin, you man, thanks for tonight. Any no more super chats while we were chatting? We can get out of here.
We're good.
All right, great. Thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate it. We'll be back after the game on Sunday. It'll be me and Jeremy. We'll be here doing our like post game / regular show. I think. I'm pretty sure. I hope I didn't misspeak when I just said that. If I did, Andrew will yell at me later. I'm sorry, Andrew. Yeah. Talk to you soon. Have a good rest of the weekend. Peace out.